Federal High Court in Abuja has ruled that the shadow government formed by former presidential candidate Professor Pat Utomi is unconstitutional and illegal. Justice James Omotosho held that the concept of a shadow cabinet is alien to the 1999 Constitution and Nigeria's presidential system of government. The court restrained Utomi and his associates from proceeding with the plan, insisting that they cannot hide under the right to criticize government to engage in unlawful acts. The case was filed by the Department of State Services, which accused Utomi of attempting to usurp President Bola Tinubu's executive powers. The DSS argued that the move could destabilize the country by inciting unrest, intergroup tensions, and encouraging other unlawful groups to replicate similar parallel structures. The agency described Utomi's shadow cabinet as a direct threat to national security and constitutional order. According to court filings, Utomi had already announced a shadow cabinet with designated portfolios and advisors, prompting the DSS to seek a restraining order. The court declared the structure unconstitutional, null, and void, citing sections 1 and 14 of the Constitution, which vest sovereignty and governance solely in duly established democratic institutions. Nze, what do you make of the story?
As a Nigerian, as a citizen of this country, if there was a shadow government, I don't know, and it is alien to my knowledge. We've not seen such. What is the work of the shadow government? Is it to criticize the executive government or to point direction to the government? What is their work? Will they implement any law? Will they carry out any developmental project? Will they issue governance? What is the essence? I think I love Utomi, Pat Utomi, and his style of doing things. But just knowing that we are all humans, we cannot know to a certain extent. I think that the claim of the DSS that this kind of government, if it is allowed, will give room to some other groups that might cause a breach of peace in our society. So to me, I think I applaud the judgment of Omotosho for now on this regard. And let whoever also want to come up with such idea suspend that forthwith, knowing that if we actually want this state, this society, this Nigeria to progress, everybody must put hands together to say no to what is bad and say yes to what is good. The area the government of Tinubu is doing well, we support him. The area he's not doing well, we will shout foul. And that's my take on that.
All right. Chizi, what is your take on this story?
That judgment is as shadow as the shadow government.
How do you mean?
Yes, they didn't give any judgment. What's that judgment? You know, I'm beginning to, when I saw this judgment, I'm seeing, firstly, let me say that maybe we are having a repented DSS. Maybe because this is 25 years of this new democracy, and of course you know that there's hardly, maybe the negligible percentage of people who are in DSS now were those who were recruited before the democracy, because 80% of them are 25 years. Not to be in 25 years in service means that it's just within 2000, so they're like a democratic DSS. What is Nnamdi Kanu doing in prison when Utomi cannot go to prison? What is Nnamdi Kanu doing in prison? The offense you accused him, and there's offense somebody had come out openly to say, I am forming a government. What do you mean by shadow government? And you're looking at it as dark? And this judgment came and said, I just became advisory, like what you will say, it is not right. Without naming the sentence. Why did Awolowo go to prison? Why? So what is happening with all of these persons? Why am I not seeing Utomi in prison? Or this court says that Utomi should go for 25 years jail.
Because he wants that the shadow government is a parallel government that will control, that basically controls government.
Somebody just came up. That is cool. You just came up and you want to announce government. What did Abiola do? That they even accuse Abiola that
he wants to announce, so Pat Utomi
no, what I mean is that if announced a private government, there are 2 republics in Nigeria. So why are you... So please release Nnamdi Kanu now that you're even accusing him. Because once people who secret cow, it doesn't matter how brilliant you are. If you go overboard, let the law... So if I said today that I'm not the president of Nigeria, they will just leave me because it's one Utomi. I mean, it's somebody I respect for his intellectualism. But now I know that he's only brilliant, he's not intelligent. Because there's a sharp difference between being brilliant and being intelligent. What are you saying? That a man came and did that, and DSS went to court, which is a little bit civil, and then they went to court. And the court, the motor show is giving judgment and advising, like what I would have done. So why did they go to court? There's no punishment for that. There's no fine. There's no imprisonment for doing that, because they are found him guilty of doing that. That's what judgment means. But they didn't pronounce any punishment for that. What is that? There was no judgment. There was no punishment.
Interesting perspective.
Yes,
they only declared it unconstitutional.
Unconstitutional, meaning that he's guilty. If it's unconstitutional, so that means what is the law? Why is it there? All of those people that accepted those appointments, where are they? They should be in Kuje or in maximum prison now. I'm looking for appeal. See, you know, let me the difference between one society and the other society is law. And that there are people who are not secret. You know, we came here the other day. We said somebody is saying not everything. I don't want to use the word nonsense, so you don't chase me out of this studio.
Please
I've inferred it.
Don't use it.
I've inferred it. Anyhow you want to do. So that somebody is saying all of those things he's saying, and somebody is still working. Somebody is challenging and calling the city president anything, and still walking the street. Somebody is insisting that he will not apologize, and still walking the street. And then Nnamdi Kanu is there.
Now, very quickly, before we get to Nnamdi Kanu's story, because that's the next story, let's just look at, for a lot of our viewers that may be wondering what shadow government is, let me just quickly break it down. It says that it's a secret or parallel government. Basically, it exists within the realm of conspiracy theories. It said it refers to a secret cabal or powerful but unelected people who are thought to manipulate the publicly elected government for their own agenda. That this is the various, I'm going to give various definitions. It operates parallel to the official state apparatus, with the real power lying with private individuals, organizations, or even foreign entities. In some versions of the theory, the shadow government acts as the man behind the man, controlling events while the official leaders are mere figureheads. Now, for parliamentary systems that you could find in UK, Canada, and all of that, you know, shadow government, shadow government could be seen as official opposition composed of prominent members of the largest opposition party. Now, for their roles, each member of the shadow cabinet is appointed to shadow a specific minister in the government. For example, for defense secretary, we'll have a shadow defense secretary who will scrutinize his work. Now, for the purpose, their role is to critically examine the government's policies, hold them accountable, and present alternative policy options. This allows them to function as an alternative government and prepare to take office if their party wins the next election. Now, within the Nigerian context, of course, Pat Utomi announced plan to form a shadow government. The Federal High Court declared this unconstitutional, stating that Nigeria's presidential system does not allow for a parallel government structure, and ruled that criticizing the government is a constitutional right, but establishing a separate parallel structure is not. Now, in this instance, right, like Chizzy has rightly said, are people being treated like sacred cows in the country? Like, if one is, I'm just trying to imagine that certain persons had even dared to think of it, just to the mere thought of even saying it out, you know. But in this instance, Pat Utomi had announced that, and also even giving people portfolios. Nigeria is an interesting country, actually.
Do you know one thing by
yes,
Laurentia? You know, these things that are happening is going as far as building a mountain of ethnic bias in this country. You know, Chizi said something that, what is Nnamdi Kanu doing in prison? Now, what was Nnamdi Kanu's offense? That he wanted secession. Secession means forming a new government outside the existing government that will take charge of a certain portion of the country. The same thing now Utomi has
secession,
done.
when you say that, it's as if, no. Secession
I wanted to say that.
Secession is not what you said is not secession.
No.
Secession is they want independence.
That's what I'm saying now, cutting off. I said
Yeah,
cutting
maybe
off
cutting off is
a certain section of the country.
Yes, better.
I think I made that statement. It's cutting off a certain section of the country, creating a government to govern that place. And you see that why the Eastern region was still a part and parcel of Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now these people have come to form a government in that particular region called indigenous people of Biafra. And for that reason, Nnamdi Kanu must die. And they held him for a long time on that basis. And look at Utomi now from another part of the country, forming a government. Though I don't know the members of the cabinet of his shadow government, but that shadow government was formed. I think that was 2023. And now in 2025, the court is coming to annul it and declare it as null and void, and letting him go and still holding Nnamdi Kanu, which we keep on crying that is Igbo hate by this same government.
All right, very
and
well.
It is not acceptable.
Okay.